Hello, everybody, and welcome to another brand new episode from the
Geek
Buddies!
Hey!
We are back at it again this week to talk about all the things going on in the world of geekdom. We got so many trailers to jump into. We got two big stories to lead off the show. Certainly one that will put smiles and then some angry faces on some of us here having that discussion. The first topic, and then jumping into some first reactions to Jurassic World Dominion. I was able to see it last night, but want to bring up the other critics, other people in the sphere, and what their thoughts on the big film that's going to be coming out this weekend, possibly challenging Top Gun Maverick for domination there at the box office. And our main topic will be a spoiler discussion of Stranger Things Season 4. We've all seen the first 7 episodes. A lot of you have been tweeting at us to talk about it, so we thought, well, why not? We'll do it on the show and do it as our main topic. And, we should introduce ourselves before we get going. I am the Outlaw, John Rocha, writer, producer, and host here on the Outlaw Nation. Mike?
I am Michael Vogel, writer and producer of animated TV shows and movies.
Shannon?
And this is Shannon McClung. I'm an animation writer and a television actor where you may have seen me on Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Silicon Valley, and The Goldbergs.
And you guys have Strawberry Shortcake just wrapped up. Is that correct? What happened there? I saw tweets.
Strawberry Shortcake's run on YouTube, where it was being released once every week. We got through the first 40 shorts, which is the first season. But you can still check all of them. They're packaged as little twofers on Netflix. So it's 20 episodes, season 1, currently airing on Netflix. So go check it out. Our big moment at the end, our cliffhanger reveal that the peculiar purple pie man, who has not been in Strawberry Shortcake cartoons for some time now, is back.
Wow.
And I can tell you on pretty good authority that when we get to season 2, he will be causing Strawberry Shortcake no small amount of headaches.
Were there any rumors, any truth to the rumors that David Tennant was going to come back and voice another purple character? Was that true, or was that not in play at all with David Tennant?
The purple character that he played is way more upsetting than our peculiar purple pie. I don't think you can get that purple, that peculiarly purple in a kids program. That was that's intense stuff.
Oh, fair enough. What I like about it is that it's a tight. It sounds like 160 minutes from what I'm getting here, which is equivalent to the season finale of season 4 of Stranger Things. So that's fascinating. The 44-minute shorts, pretty incredible. All right.
Yeah. And both available on Netflix.
Excellent point. So we're going to get into all the things going on here in the world of geekdom, but we want to give a big shout out to Carbon Health, who powers and sponsors everything we do here on the Outlaw Nation channel, especially the Geek Buddies. They do power and sponsor us here. Go to carbonhealth.com. If you got any health issues, any stuff going on, as I've said before, the numbers are rising. People are going back in, contracting this thing. So you want to go get tested and see what's going on there. If you've got any other health issues, go to carbonhealth.com. They got clinics all over the country, 100 of them. 50 plus of them are in California, and they offer virtual care as well to help you out with any issues you might have. I don't know if they've got back to tanks, but they can certainly help you out for sure. All right. Well, let's
if you're feeling whacked, you got to get that back to.
Exactly. Somebody make a shirt out of that, please. And the way the show works is each of us brings up a news item in the first block. So there's 3 news items, and we'll take a break and talk about the main topic there, as we mentioned. Michael, I think you're leading us off this time around. Please take it away.
I think I am. Dropping this week, director Todd Phillips posted on his Instagram confirmation that there is a script for a sequel to 2019's The Joker. He included a cover of the script, which is written by Phillips and Scott Silver. And in the post, includes a shot of Joaquin Phoenix reading the screenplay. And the title page of the screenplay reveals the title of the movie, which is Joker Folie à Deux. Folie à Deux, which translates to I just had it and now I can't find it. What does it translate to, guys? Shared Madness. Joker Shared Madness. So Warner Brothers has kind of remained silent on the subject. Maybe Todd Phillips jumped the gun a little bit on this in his excitement about a sequel to a movie that he said that there was never going to be a sequel to. But looks like we're getting a Joker movie. And based on the title, there's already been a ton of speculation about what shared madness could mean. Yeah. Could shared madness mean all of Gotham is sharing in the madness of the Joker, as we saw in the riots at the end of the first movie? Could Shared Madness be a nod to the fact that he and Batman both are kind of flip sides of the same madness coin as we've seen in A Killing Joke? Or could Shared Madness mean that he will be meeting someone to share his madness with, a la a blonde psychiatrist by the name of Harleen Quinzel? So lots of speculation on what this could possibly mean, but it definitely does mean that we're probably getting a sequel. And given the success that Warner Brothers had with Joker, it's not a huge surprise that they would have cracked a story to it. But gentlemen, what do you two think?
Shannon?
Well, the first one ended so well. That was such a great ending. It was such a unique movie, such an interesting take on one of our classic, most famous DC bad guys. For them to go back to the well, it's interesting. Like, from a financial perspective, you totally get it. Like, they made this movie considering what it made. I mean, it was relatively cheap considering that it made so much money. So it's not surprised from a business perspective that they would want a sequel to this film that, their investment paid off in dividends. In terms of a story, I mean, folie à deux, I mean, it's specifically two. I mean, that's what deux means in French, is two.
Oh,
so, that title certainly makes me think Batman. Mm-hmm. Are they going to introduce a fourth Batman? I kind of doubt it. that's and would they introduce Harley Quinn? I mean, maybe. I mean, the Gotham take, even though that's not actually two, the Gotham take makes more sense to me. But it's like, where does Arthur Fleck go from this point? Like, it's really interesting. Now, in the wake of Joker, Todd Phillips kind of got a little bit of pushback because he was one of the folks that's like, we're not allowed to be funny anymore. And the title, it does seem a little, I don't know, a little artsy fartsy for my taste.
For the guy who did a Hangover, is what you're saying.
I mean, it's surprising. But it'll be curious to see, because I feel like that title, I don't think that title has gotten anyone like, oh my gosh, here we go, round two. It's more like, oh, really, dude? So I'll be curious to see what this turns out to be. I mean, again, I don't think coming off, it was an Academy Award winning film. I don't think Joaquin Phoenix does this again unless he's confident in the project. And no matter what you think of Joaquin Phoenix personal life, how he had the whole documentary a few years ago, the guy's a brilliant performer. So if he's willing to do this again, it seems like it's probably going to be pretty good, but we'll see.
Yeah, he certainly was fantastic. And come on. If you guys haven't seen that one, that is one you should definitely watch in black and white. It's fantastic work that he did last year. But yeah, fascinating title. I mean, I don't mind the title. I don't necessarily think one way or the other, because we've seen, Mike and Shannon, we've seen numerous titles for Batman, kind of limited runs through the years, through the decades. So why not the Joker getting some of these titles as well? And it's interesting because it kind of makes sense too, how the Joker would see himself as a little more cultured than he actually is. So playing on that. Also, this idea of the folie à deux is so interesting because you're looking at the definition of this. It is a shared psychosis or a shared delusional order that is transmitted from one individual to another. So it could be two people sharing it, obviously could have the same psychosis, or one transferring it over. And that certainly makes you think, as Michael pointed out so well, of Harley Quinn. He is we've seen in the comics that he is the reason she became how she became, that he's instrumental. And we even saw it in the Birds of Prey or Suicide Squad film. We saw that happen as well, Jared Leto's part in that. So fascinating to see if that's going to be where they go with this, or if it's going to be a mass psychosis type thing, or what have you. But I love the fact that Joaquin was willing to be in the picture, still in his black and white phase, apparently, reading the script, because that gets me excited. But I don't know how far you can go without having a Batman, Mike. I don't know how much farther you can go with Joker into a second movie and not have some semblance of a Batman or some semblance of someone who is rising up here against him to stop him doing what he's doing. So I'm excited because the thing made $1 billion, nominated for 11 Oscars, and won some of those, especially Joaquin and the composer. But I get worried, even though I'm excited that they might like screw the pooch here and ruin the greatness of that first movie, which I loved. What do you think about this, Mike?
I mean, like I told you guys, like when I saw, like I think that first Joker movie is amazing. I think it is a really, really well-made film. It's a powerful film. It really like just gets under your skin, gives you the creepy crawlies. Like I think it's a very good movie. It's not a movie that I'm going to pop on a Sunday afternoon and be like, let me feel horrible about life. But like, it's really, really good. But like when I saw the announcement for this film, I was kind of like, all right. And I think it is because like they all made such a big deal about, like Todd Phillips was like this isn't a new franchise. I'm telling this singular story. And then Warner Brothers came out and said, we're not doing what Marvel's doing. Like we're not making all these things. Like we're going to make these like marquee director-led films and really tell these stories. And now like we're getting a sequel. And this is the problem with a multiverse, which is, well, if you keep doing it and you keep making money, which is great for you. So all of a sudden we have at least 2 Jokers, potentially 3 Batman. Like there's like how many times are you going to take the same characters in the same world? Like you can't say that Todd Phillips is going to do his singular Joker film over here and that we're going to have Matt Reeves like tell his Batman trilogy over here. But then we're going to have a mainline DC universe with Michael Keaton as Batman over here. Like it's getting very crowded and very confusing very quickly. So all that being said, maybe there's no Batman in this movie and it's a non-issue and it's fine, but it's just like I do think you do run into the problem of like how many stories do you have to tell? All that being said, this movie could be amazing. The first one was great. If the same creative team is coming in here and Joaquin Phoenix really likes what he gets to do and wants to come back and like further this story, like I'm not dogging on this movie yet, because I do think it has the potential to be, holy shit, they did it again. I do think, though, looking at the big picture of what Warner Brothers and DC are doing with all of their films, there does start to really quickly, like, we're going to talk about the Black Adam trailer in a minute, and I just keep wondering, I'm like, okay, so wait, which heroes are in this part of the DC universe? What's going on? What's going on? A lot of what's going on. So we'll see. But I'm definitely curious to see where they take it. I do think, to kind of answer the question of like what it is, like, do I think Todd Phillips wants to tell a Harley Quinn story? Maybe. But again, we've already had Margot Robbie. We already have the Harley Quinn animated series. So like, what is a new take on Harley Quinn?
Yeah.
I do think they would be smart to avoid Batman. But I also think that John is right. How many Joker stories can you tell without Batman? So what is this going to be? Definitely big question mark.
I think every show that tries to do a show about Gotham and, doesn't make Batman a central character eventually falls apart. Gotham fell apart. You could argue Titans fell apart. Seeing the silhouette of Batman, all that nonsense. It just doesn't work. He's so essential to what makes it. He's the straw that stirs the drink, as an old Reggie Jackson phrase used to be used in the 1970s. He is the straw that stirs the drink. The drink is nice, but I like the straw that stirs the drink. It brings it all together, and to have it without him, I think is a little strange. Another part of this, too, is Hollywood Reporter, and I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on this. I know we got to move on to all subjects here, but Hollywood Reporter also said that Todd Phillips was in consultation and may serve as some advisor for future DC projects for Warner Brothers. So that, Mike, to go to your point here, kind of hints at the possibility that he may be involved in crafting some of the storylines here that may lead us back to a Robert Pattinson Batman versus a Joaquin Phoenix Joker. And another part of this that I want to throw in for you guys.
Except we already have a different actor playing the Joker.
Well, we didn't see that person. We've heard he never officially, I don't know, he never officially appeared as the Joker in the film. Although Matt Reeves can say he's the Joker. Doesn't that give him a little bit of leeway, maybe, or no?
I mean, they did release that deleted scene it is full on.
Deleted scene. It's not canon. It's a deleted
Okay.
I mean, alternate endings are not the endings, are they? Those are deleted scenes in essence. Those aren't the endings of the actual movie, though. So and if it's shared madness, could it be that he's the one that turned him into a minion of the Joker? Although I doubt Barry Keoghan would take a role like that and play someone second to Joaquin Phoenix in a Joker situation. I want to throw one more thing out there Mike, I know you got to address this as well, but the idea of shared madness, this could also be like the first movie, a bit of a social commentary on the tribalism that is going on in our worlds, right? We've seen people buy into the shared madness, in my opinion, of QAnon or these other things, the MAGA movement, the left movement, the progressive movement. We've seen people buy into mentalities. And so, looking from another perspective, someone can say that whole group is mad or that whole group is crazy. So it could be even an exploration of that.
I mean, I do think that's more. I mean, given the way Todd Phillips attacked the first story, I do think something like that is more likely.
Yeah.
I think that every geek being like, it's Harley Quinn, it's Bruce Wayne, it's Batman, like that's kind of like what the comic book fan wants to see. Some comic book fans want to see. I don't want to speak for every comic book fan, but I do think that the shared madness and the idea that in our society today, there are a bunch of people believing things and like jumping on bandwagons on every side. Like, well, one person says this and we all believe this, and then everybody believes this, and all these people believe this, even though it's like provably false. That's, you know, like, so I do think that kind of using the Joker character here to sort of show how easy it is for people to all share in madness is probably at the end of the day more likely in that arena, is more likely where it's going to end up. But we'll see.
We'll see. All right. And of course, it's just starting. They've just written a script here, and who knows how many revisions it's going to go through and when they'll start shooting. But it certainly is exciting, at least for me on my end. I'm excited to see what they're going to come up with. And you might be right, Mike. Defaulting to the comic book approach to this may be the wrong approach, because he certainly did not do that in that first movie. So this could be a completely different avenue. And I saw someone tweet out, oh, which Martin Scorsese film is he going to copy from now? It's like, shut up. Just shut up. All right, let's move on. As if Scorsese was an original and never bit off anybody. All right, let's move on to the next subject here we're going to talk about, and that's Jurassic World Dominion. It's coming out this weekend. As we're talking about this tomorrow night, there are screenings already out there for Jurassic World Dominion. Some people got to see it at the premiere on Monday night. I got to see it last night here in San Diego in a COVID-packed theater. But we've got some reactions from people who are in the business, some of the fellow critics of mine. And let's take a look and see you guys' reactions. Jazz Tangay, this is from Variety, by the way. Jazz Tangay said, Jurassic World Dominion is a big, roaring, fun adventure. The dinosaurs are bigger and better than ever. It's nonstop dinosaur action. And Laura Dern, Jeff Goldblum, and Sam Neill's return hit the nostalgic spots. I just love them. Clayton Davis said, let's be clear. It doesn't matter what I say about Jurassic World Dominion. It's going to make so much money. It defies logic. It's a movie where things just happen and people know things, quote, because smoke a joint, go drunk, and have the time of your life. Nostalgia on overdrive. Funny how I've been saying that for 5 years about Transformers films, but no. Let's make it apply to Jurassic Park or Jurassic World. Courtney Howard says Jurassic World Dominion equals bad. It ignores the premise it should have had from the start, instead synthetically engineering two entirely different, uninteresting, and hollow stories that it struggles to connect. Some effects look polished, some ropey. Worst of the franchise.
Wow.
That's a strong statement here. Ian Samuel says it delivers the spectacle you expect, but Jurassic World Dominion feels underwhelming for a finale as it treads familiar ground. Lovely to see the OG trio, though, and their strand is the strongest, even if it unwittingly highlights how bland the JW characters are by comparison. And Jermaine Lucier said, Jurassic World Dominion is bad, so bad it's too long, it's wildly repetitive, and the dinosaurs are window dressing for multiple uninteresting, unrelated stories. The actors do their best, but it's all just overindulgent and pointless. One, if not the worst in the franchise. So, and Eric Davis said, good news. Jurassic World Dominion is my favorite film of the new Jurassic trilogy. It's stuffed with thrilling dinosaur encounters and lots more Jeff Goldblum, but it's also got a great balance of creepy and inventive scenarios with some choice nods to what came before a solid finale. So very much split points of views. And my friend Scott Menzel over at Hollywood Critics Association saying it is massive disappointment. It does feature some incredible dinosaur sequences. It is great to see the original cast back on the big screen. The film fails to deliver on what the previous films promised. So, gentlemen, thoughts on these first reactions as you're hearing them from, seems very mixed, right down the middle. And what are your thoughts here now as you think about possibly going to see this movie this weekend?
Well, the less than positive thoughts aren't really a surprise. I mean, it doesn't really, the Jurassic World trilogy, I don't think it's breaking any land speed records for story. I mean, the premise as a whole, that they're in the world of Jurassic Park, they're going to try it again after this huge disaster. it's such a tough mountain to climb at that point. But the fact that they did do it, I mean, the second one, Fallen Kingdom, which I thought was, I didn't think Jurassic World was bad. I was like, it was fine. It was fine. That was fun.
It's bad, but it's bad.
It was fine. It was fine.
It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
It was fine. It was fine. The second one, such an interesting idea that I feel like was only about half a movie, and so they had to come up with something else to fill up the second half. At the end of Jurassic World, I mean, again, emotionally, I was disconnected. I was kind of like, okay, that's what this is. All right, got it. This is a movie that I'll go see some fun stuff. But at the end of the day, I won't think any more about it. And then watching the trailers, when we first talked about the trailer, Vogel got hooked.
Yeah.
Whereas my thought was like, this trilogy is made for good trailers. When it comes down to the actual film, it's like, it's pretty thin. So I'll go see it. We'll see what happens.
Full disclosure.
Let's just be clear.
Yeah.
Vogel didn't get hooked. Vogel knows that Vogel is in an abusive relationship with the Jurassic World movies. Vogel knows that he saw that trailer and was like, I'm absolutely going to go see this movie. And I also know that when I see this movie, it's going to be the stupidest movie in the world.
That sure sounds hooked to me.
No. Hooked is, guys, I think it's going to be different this time. I got a feeling they nailed it. Like, all the reviews that are saying this movie is a massive disappointment. This movie cannot be a disappointment because the Jurassic World movies are so fucking stupid that this movie has nowhere to go but up. If I come out of this movie and go, that was the stupidest thing I've ever seen, then that was a Jurassic World movie. If Laura Dern and Sam Neill and Jeff Goldblum make me happier, if the dinosaurs do anything that makes sense, if the ending of this movie is better than, hey, maybe let's release all the dinosaurs into the wild, that seems like a good idea, then we're good to go. Like, it's great. And if it's not that, then I come out and go, those dinosaurs look really pretty. Holy shit, I can't believe Universal fucked this up so bad.
Full disclosure, Shannon McClung works for Universal Studios, so it's a Hollywood. So I mean, just a full disclosure. So his, you got to admit that, just like Savannah Guthrie did this morning. Listen, you put it on the table, and I saw it last night, and I went in thinking, okay, look, I like the trailers. Let's put it in the snow. This is something we haven't seen before. I'm excited. And the thing,
let's put it in the snow. That's a development meeting, guys. Okay. What are we gonna do for the next movie? Let's put it in the snow. Green light.
Have we done snow before? I don't think so, Colin. Let's do it. No, but I mean, at the end of the day, I was hoping to come out of this thing feeling like having a lot of fun. I wanted to have a lot of fun. I go into these movies wanting to have fun, and I rarely do. I think that's the sad truth of it. That's what makes me upset. It's not that I want to take my knife and fork out and carve up this movie and eat it. It's more a matter of like, damn, there's so much potential here. You've got really great talent attached to this. Trevorrow's a good director. J.A. Bayona is a good director. You had Chris Pratt. Bryce Dallas Howard is a fantastic actress. B.D. Wong coming back is always fun. And in this one, you're bringing back the legends. These legends, Sam Neill, Laura Dern, and Jeff Goldblum. But too much, as Clayton Davis said, too much is just like bam, bam, a bam, a bam, a bam. And it's not like, is there any foundation of this? Is there any kind of reality to this? And I find it fascinating that the Jurassic Park people and the Jurassic World people have the indignation to bash the Transformers movies. When literally it's the exact same franchise. One good movie to start it off. Everything else has been a law of diminishing returns, and they got worse as the installments went along. And so that's the truth of it. So you trying to tell me there's something better about this Jurassic Park franchise over the Transformers franchise is absolutely and utterly ridiculous. They're both terrible. They both have hollow characters, terrible plots, smart people doing stupid things. It's ridiculous. So at the end of the day, it's a shame. But I will say, it was nice to see the three back together again. It really was. Did I like the way they handled it? Probably not. But I liked seeing them, and they had great chemistry. So that's the extent of what I'll say.
Here's what I will. Okay, here's one thing I just will say. I do think that I know you have strong feelings about how much you love the Transformers movies, and then say that the Transformers don't matter because they're hollow and bullshit, and it's an '80s cartoon. So who cares? I just had a good time.
First of all, you want to talk about Rocha never said that. They were hollow. I never said that. For God's sake.
I think you literally just said hollow. I would have to rewind. I would have to rewind the tape. But what I'm saying is, every time we talk Transformers and you talk about how you love it, and I talk about how I find it to be hugely disappointing, you usually respond in some form saying it's based on an 80s cartoon that was made to sell toys.
Yeah, made to sell toys, talking
and
cars.
So it doesn't matter.
It's fun. It's about fun, having fun.
Now, I think that if you are someone who, like John, loves the Transformers movies just because, or if you're someone who is like, guys, why don't you stop dogging on Jurassic World? I'm excited to go see some dinosaurs this weekend. It's great. Like, if you go see the Transformers movies or the Jurassic Park movies because you want to eat popcorn and you want to see giant robots or giant dinosaurs, that's super cool. I think that, like, where John and I disagree on Transformers is that as someone who grew up watching Transformers and as someone who worked at Hasbro and worked on Transformers animated series and like has sat and had like extensive conversations and meetings about the Transformers lore, I feel like there's a lot that's left on the table and that there's a better movie out there.
What did I just say about Jurassic World? I said the same thing. There's so much potential, a lot left on the table. That doesn't
you just don't usually say that about Transformers as much. You just love to love them.
I do love, but because I don't try to push them as some kind of great misunderstood franchise. They're fun,
but it is.
Jurassic Park people defend this franchise as if it's this phenomenally misunderstood, that people just don't get how much fun there is in these movies, and it's bullshit. They're both equally crap, and you can enjoy them. I know they're not great movies, the Transformers movies. They're fun, and I don't try to put too much into them. But people try to denigrate the Transformers films and comparison to, as if there was more lofty conversations happening in Jurassic Park or Jurassic World, which is fucking ridiculous. Shannon,
you have a lot of feelings here. You okay?
Two thoughts.
Yes, please.
John's take, to me, that definitely sounds not hooked. And I just wanted to clarify, when John was saying the Jurassic people, he is talking about the fans. He's not talking about the creative team.
No, not at all.
No.
The Jurassic people.
No. I'm talking about the fans. Yeah, not the filmmakers. I respect the filmmakers. They're, as I said, both of them are good directors. All of them through the series are good directors. Yeah,
except that Spielberg guy.
I mean, he did make the first bad one. So.
And I can even defend Jurassic Park 3. I can actually defend that movie. But yeah,
I can defend parts of Lost World.
Yeah,
Lost World. Lost World is not a great movie in a lot of ways, but it has some really fantastic sequences to it.
Fair enough.
And even Jurassic Park 3, like I will say, like I don't think Jurassic Park 3 is not a good movie, but it's not Jurassic World.
Yeah, and I'll say one more thing to add on. Oh, did you finish your second thought, Shannon? Sorry. Did you finish your second
thought?
I
was, Jurassic people, the fans.
Yeah, the fans. And one last thing, there's no Bumblebee in this Jurassic Park franchise. At least there's a Bumblebee in the Transformers franchise to kind of elevate it and save it a little bit. There's not even that.
Yeah, but we got Blue. We got Blue.
No, I mean the movie. There's no movie that's spin off from it that's really good. That
got it. We didn't get the Blue movie where it's like the Raptor origin story where Raptor in the big city, like.
Yet.
Right. Sounds like it's, I think 44-minute shorts for Blue would work. All right, well, let's move on to our next thing. And I know we're deep into the 20 minutes. Let's jump into it, Shannon. We got some trailers to talk about.
Trailers.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got two things that are going to be on streaming, one thing on the big screen, but we're going to start with our first look, or really our second look at Netflix's The Sandman. So this was, I'm so curious to talk about this with you guys. Offline, the three of us have had a couple of discussions. Things have been thrown out. I thought the first, real footage that we've seen of this, I thought this looked really, really cool. I mean, this is a stacked cast. So I'm just going to throw it to you guys right away because I'm very curious to hear your thoughts. What did you guys think of our second look at Netflix's The Sandman?
Mike?
Johnny?
Oh, okay. I'll say I liked it. I really did. I liked the environment. I liked the characters. We didn't get too much, not a lot with death. Just the look of death. We just saw death. That's it. We know that the dreaming is in trouble. If you've read the Sandman series, you know that. I like the look of Tom Sturridge. I like the look of everybody. I mean, David Thewlis being in there was great. The last shot of Boyd Holbrook there as the Corinthian. That got me really excited. So overall, I would say that I just don't. I hope that it's not bad because the look of it is so interesting and dreamy like and and fuzzy and worldly and all this kind of stuff. So I like it, the overall appearance of it and where it might be going. Those are my thoughts overall.
Is
Mike?
there something in it that makes you fear that it's going to be bad though?
It's such a difficult thing, and it looks like they're focusing on preludes and nocturnes, and so I wonder how accessible it's going to be, because the reason it's so beloved by those of us who love it is it's not a pop culture mainstream. It's not Batman. So it's very much protected by us. And we know because of the complexity of it, are they going to risk the complexity of it to make it more palatable for more Netflix audiences? This is my scare and my concern. Nothing in the trailer I saw made me concerned, just the overall approach. And Neil Gaiman saying, we're updating it. We're basing it on this, but we're making some updates for 2022. So I get nervous when I hear the word updates, so that's my only thing. Mike?
I have a bad feeling about this.
Why?
Do you really?
I don't. And here's the thing.
Cool.
Here's the thing. Everything John just said, I agree with. I think he looks great as the Sandman. You can see those scenes if you've read Preludes and Nocturnes, you're okay. I see that. I see what this is. I see this. There's Mad Hetty. There's the Corinthian. You see Desire. You see this. Like, I'm seeing everything, and it looks like okay. And by the way, I'm with John. Like, I don't want this to be bad. Like,
yeah, right. Exactly.
I want to watch this. And I want to be like, holy shit, this is Sandman on TV. I never thought we'd get here. And maybe it is just that I love the Sandman too much, or like, I don't know. Like, there's so many things. Like, I'm sure that there are hardcore Marvel fans who every change that they made to Civil War or the Infinity Gauntlet story, or every little change they've made in a Marvel movie, there's probably somebody out there that's like, I loved these comics and fuck the MCU and fuck Kevin Feige and like whatever. And I don't know if that's what I am when it comes to Sandman, but like ultimately John and I are coming at it from the same angle. Like, he's saying this is all the stuff that looked good and I really hope it's bad. And I think that with Sandman, I'm just a little bit like, everything looks decent. Like, it looks cool. The dreaming looks neat. Like, you can tell they spent money on this thing. You can tell they really like wanted to cast it right. They got these people. It's like, it could be great. I hope it's great, but I think that like there does seem to be this. I watched it and I was like, okay, like this looks good. This looks good. This looks good. Why do I have a bad feeling? Like, I just am so worried about this. And I don't know. And like, listen, I will be, as often happens, because not often, but once or twice on Geek Buddies, I've been wrong about things. I will be like, this is one where if this comes out, okay, don't laugh too hard. Don't laugh too hard. If this comes out and we decide to review it, if it's whatever, and we all get on here. Yes. And we all get on here and we are like, you know what I don't want? I don't want to review this every week and hate it. I don't want to be the one who every week on Geek Buddies is like, guys, this is just getting worse and worse. Like, I don't want to be the grumpy Geek Buddy on this.
Maybe it's time. See. Maybe it's time you put that hat on and see what it feels like.
I don't want to read those comments. Vogel just hates it.
Maybe 100 Mike Vogel compliments could go away for a little while. It wouldn't be a bad thing. It wouldn't be a bad thing in the comments.
I don't want to be the grumpy Geek Buddy. So we'll see. I'm very, very curious to see how it turns out.
And just to clarify, Mike said, I hope it's bad. No, I hope it's not bad. I think he was just forgot a word.
Right. I hope it's not bad. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, not being as steeped in the books as you all, but purely from the Audible series, like, especially that visual of Tom Sturridge, blowing the sand at the guards. I'm like, that is exactly what I saw in my head. So when you guys had expressed a little bit of like, I was like, why? It looks so cool.
Just because we love it, man.
I will say, I mean, to your point, Shannon, I mean, sometimes you see adaptations of things and there's something you love. And just from the trailer, you can tell, like, especially back in the day, if you're like a comic book fan, like before we had a Marvel Cinematic Universe and DC was doing everything, like you would get like the adaptation of your comic book movie and you could tell like, it was really done on a budget. Like they didn't have a lot of money. The effects weren't great. Like this, you can tell that they are trying to get this thing right. Like they are spending the money. There's definitely care being taken here. So I don't want my bad feeling to come across as I think the people working on this don't get it or it's off base in any way. Like everything looks like they are really aiming to bring this thing to the screen. I'm just nervous. Nervous.
Well, we will find out on August 5th when it drops on Netflix. So our next trailer is for one of the coolest things I think I've seen in a while, and that is for Prey. This is a film that is essentially the Predator in the it looks like the mid 1800s. I believe it's Comanche territory. This trailer looked awesome. Like the Predator has had a somewhat troubled history following its first movie. Some would argue its second movie, but this is the first time watching a Predator in the past, in Earth's past. I thought this looked so cool. So, gentlemen, what did you all think of our first look at Prey?
Yeah, I did a trailer reaction for this one. I loved it. I thought it was great, and the fact that they are releasing it and that the actors are doing it in Comanche as well. So you'll be able to watch a Comanche version. Comanche.
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah. So you can go see it in a Comanche language version, which I think is incredibly sensitive to the Comanche people. And it's set 300 years ago. It's a young Native American actress, Amber Midthunder, I think her name is, and she's the one that's taken this on and trying to prove herself. So certainly the idea of a woman trying to prove herself in a patriarchal society transfers over to our times as well, as that's becoming more prevalent in our entertainment as a storyline. And so seeing this here, I think works so well, but also the visuals. Dan Trachtenberg, I liked 10 Cloverfield Lane. He did the pilot for The Boys. He's got the upcoming pilot for Waterworld. We'll see if that works out and it's good. So there's a lot in his in his resume rather, that makes me think this is going to be a good approach. I love the cinematography. I love the look and the feel of it. And they did a really good job of making sure that a majority of the actors are either Native American or First Nations people. And they have a Comanche producer on the film. So very authentic in their approach. And I think they understand this is a way to kind of reinvigorate the franchise in a new and interesting ways. And I love the visuals and the grizzly bear and the Predator and getting chased and all of that through. All of it really, really worked for me. What about you, Mike?
This trailer is so fucking good. I can't deal with it. It's so good. I love Predator. Like I think the first Predator movie is just a fucking A+ movie. And I love the mythology of the Predator, even though the movies are definitely like just a real mixed bag, mostly not a great bag. But like Steve Morris, your co-host on Cinephiles, and I got we were having a whole discussion recently about like great franchises, like what where all the what's a franchise where all the movies are great, and we talked about Predator, and I was like, look, Predator has 2 good movies, but you need 3 movies to get there. Like Predator 1 is great. Predator 2 is a fucking mess of a movie, but it has some cool stuff. Like Predator 2 is where we get a lot more of the mythology around the Predator, like how it doesn't kill children, it doesn't kill Maria Conchita Alonso because she's pregnant. Like you get some really cool mythological elements in a movie that is a very 90s movie. And then you get Predators with Adrian Brody, which also has some really cool things in it. And especially the fact that the score harkens back to the original movie, but then there's just a bunch of bullshit, and then there's like the Aliens versus Predators movies, which are just like the less said about them, the better. Rough. Like those are rough. It's just really rough. So if you are a fan of the Predator and a fan of that first movie and a fan of like the comics that have come out over the years through Dark Horse, like you know what the movie is supposed to be, and then you see these movies come out and you're like, ugh. And everything about this trailer is a home run. Everything about this trailer gets, whether the movie is successful or not, and remains to be seen, but this trailer is what a Predator movie is supposed to be. And it just looks great. Like, I cannot wait for this.
Yeah, the whole idea that she wants to prove herself as a hunter, and then you have the Predator who is a hunter, like, everything about it just looked awesome. Well, this one will be streaming on Hulu August 5th. And
same day. Sandman.
Same day as the Sandman.
I will say also, just really quickly, because I was texting with my best friend from high school, Matt Pinkison, about it, and he loves the Predator movies, and he loved the novelization of Aliens versus Predator.
Oh yeah.
And Aliens versus Predator, the novelization in the comic, had a female lead. Like, it was a female, and in the first Aliens versus Predator movie does parts of this, but it does it very poorly. But this idea of a female lead who is trying to prove who she is as a hunter, and just like Shannon said, the Predator is a hunter, and that we may get to this point where there is like a understanding of two hunters who get each other. Like, if they go down that road, I will be the happiest person in the world. I am so thrilled that we might actually get an amazing Predator movie. I can't wait.
Fingers crossed. And August 5th, the same day as the Sandman, your streamer subscribers should know that you only get to pick one. So, your choice.
By the way, Shannon, this is what it looks like when you're hooked.
Hello.
And our last trailer is our first full trailer for Black Adam, coming out October 21st. We've seen stuff from this for 2 years, from the first DC fandom. We got a great speech from The Rock. We saw concept art. Most recently, we saw that DC in theaters 2022. We got a little bit. We saw our first shot of Aldous Hodge's Hawkman, Noah Centineo as Atom Smasher, Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate, and Quintessa, I lost her name.
Yeah.
Quintessa Swindell as Cyclone. This trailer, I got a lot of thoughts.
Well, do you want to go first? Go first.
No, I'll throw it to you guys first. Well, it's one of these things, and this is something that Vogel has talked about a lot. When you have sort of shared universes, is like it's proposing more questions than answers. And granted, that's the point of the movie, but it's like, where is this? Because Black Adam is traditionally a Captain Marvel / Shazam villain who's become more of an anti-hero in recent years. The exterior shots of this just looks like another world. I mean, it does not look like our universe at all. And so it's like, okay, is that how they're going? Is that where this Justice Society is set up? The shots of Pierce Brosnan looks awesome in this. Like, he just looks so great. I was chatting with Mike Kalinowski about this earlier, and he's just like, it's like he's Alec Guinness in Star Wars. Like, that's the vibes I'm getting from Pierce Brosnan's Dr. Fate, Kent Nelson. Not getting those vibes from The Rock. The Rock is a very charming man, has turned in some great performances. Something with this sort of emotional depth we haven't really seen a lot. Maybe the one movie, Snitch, which he was phenomenal. But yeah, I mean, visually, this movie looks awesome. Like, this looks like a great spectacle. Will he be able to deliver sort of the Shakespearean-like tragedy that is Black Adam? Will he be able to deliver that performance? Based off this trailer, not sure. Fingers crossed. I would love to see this movie be fantastic, but it's a little like, well, if anything, this looks like it could be a Transformers / Jurassic World good time. So I will throw it to you guys. What did you all think of our trailer for Black Adam?
Mike?
I can't wait to see this reboot of the Scorpion King.
Oh,
it looks real good.
Wow.
It looks real good.
Wow.
No, I'm just kidding. Actually, I'm just. It is funny because you watch it and you're like, I mean, I think I've seen The Rock kind of play this role before. It's a Scorpion King. But I'm just kidding, and the Scorpion King is horrible. I'll say, like, I agree with a lot of what Shannon said. Like there are the bigger DC issues of, like, where in the universe is this? Is this taking place in the same universe where Shazam is? What's the context? What are we building to? Like, those are always questions that are going to come up in the modern era when we have these big comic book and movie franchises. Putting that aside for a minute, and putting aside whether The Rock can pull this role off, this is a cool looking movie. Like, it looks really cool. It is, all the characters look amazing, as you guys said. Hawkman looks awesome. Dr. Fate looks awesome. Atom Smasher looks awesome. Black Adam looks awesome. The effects in this movie look awesome. And tonally, remains to be seen what this movie is. But, like, The Rock getting pissed and just, like, knocking a plane out of the sky is pretty cool. Also, I do see, and not that this is a huge surprise, but this trailer does, although I think Shannon is right, it does raise a lot of bigger, where does this fit into the DC tapestry question. We do get a good sense of what this movie is. Like, okay, you show up in modern day, there are heroes, and you can either be a hero or you can be a villain. And according to Dr. Fate, you're either going to be the big hero or you're going to like fuck some shit up royally, and you need to decide, and you're Black Adam and you got a big chip on your shoulder and you're super happy to kill people to get what you want. Like, okay, I get what this movie is. Yeah. I get what the emotional core of this is going to be. I'm willing to bet that because this is his movie, he's going to end up being the hero. But then that starts to lead into more questions of like, okay, well, if you end up being a good guy, what does this mean for you and Shazam? Like, are we going to see that? So I think that all on its own, just as, okay, The Rock is starring in a big special effects superhero movie, I think I came out of this trailer feeling better than I thought that I was going to feel when I started it. I was like, all right, like this looks like a fucking good time. I'm in. But where that goes for them, and it's the Joker conversation all over again. It's like, as a standalone movie, this might be great, but if this does well for DC and it makes $1 bajillion, and we're absolutely going to see more of The Rock as Black Adam, which if it's good, I hope we do. Where does this all fit with everything that DC is doing? And I think that's a question that I don't even think everyone at DC and Warner Brothers knows the answer to.
Yeah. I liked the trailer. I'm not looking for a Shakespearean performance from The Rock for something like this.
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just adjusting my expectations. I did like the idea that his son sacrificed himself, so they are laying the groundwork for some tragedy being the foundation of why he's doing what he's doing, and the fact that they're going to probably use that, and Dr. Fate is going to use that to say like, hey, this isn't what he would have wanted. This isn't what he wanted you to do. So you're seeing a very strong Black Adam saying, I kneel before no one. I was a slave. I know what it's like to be a slave. So maybe there is a moment where Dr. Fate says to him, look what you're doing to the rest of the world. You're enslaving them to your point of view. So it could be a deceptively interesting social political commentary going on underneath all the fun blasting and explosions and all of that about this idea of having one person's opinion kind of subjugating the world and what that really means. So you wonder if the Justice Society of America is being formed to combat him, or if it has already been formed and goes to fight him. Because Dr. Fate is using a lot of logic on him in these voiceovers. And even Aldous Hodge says, you don't have to kill as Hawkman. You don't have to kill. And he says, well, I do. And so we'll see how this plays out as the film goes along. But I'm opening the door to him being an anti-hero. And I just have a feeling that they're going to find a way to make it work with Shazam. And with this recent changeover at Warner Brothers, my mind starts to think if they bring back Henry, a Henry versus The Rock situation would be incredible. So just the fact that Zaslav has kicked out Toby and now there's someone else stepping in, are the doors slightly ajar or maybe opening for Henry Cavill to come back? It could be fun to see down the road, but this is going to be fun. It's going to have a little more seriousness, and that's why you bring in someone like Pierce Brosnan, because The Rock is not going to bring you that Shakespeare stuff, but Pierce will. And by osmosis, The Rock is going to be taken along with that attitude of Pierce's and that talent of Pierce's. And so we're going to get that feeling, even though it's not The Rock delivering it to us. And I'm happy about that overall.
Is that how osmosis works?
I don't know. Philly Jew. I don't know. What I don't know. And I like John Colicera. I thought Jungle Cruise was a lot of fun. I think he understands how to direct The Rock.
Yeah,
he may be the Christopher McQuarrie to The Rock's Tom Cruise. Honestly,
that is a good point. Like I will say, like, I mean, I don't think the Jungle Cruise is heavy drama, but I think The Rock has some really nice emotional moments in Jungle Cruise. I will admit that. I think that is a good pairing. That's a good point.
Shame.
Well, we will find out on October 21st.
Yeah, we will. My birthday weekend. Yeah! All right, let's take a little bit of a break, and we'll get into our spoiler review here of Stranger Things Season 4.
Bum, bum, bum. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do.
You coward.
You copped out.
Coward.
You copped out.
I totally did.
Where's Kate Bush? Where's Kate Bush?
I couldn't. Episode 4?
Well, let's get into it because I know we've got a limited amount of time. We're going to jump into our spoiler review here for Stranger Things Season 4. First 7 episodes have dropped. I tore through them over the weekend. Shannon finished last night. Mike finished ahead of both of us. So let's talk about overall what our feelings are. And this is a spoiler review. So if you haven't seen all the episodes, stop here. Thanks for watching. Finish them and come back and watch this section of the show. Vogel, I'll go to you first. Overall thoughts on Stranger Things Season 4, the first 7 episodes.
I do not understand how this show is as good as it is.
Yeah.
Like, that is my overall feeling is I guess they've got a good thing going because like there's such a gap between seasons that you get to Stranger Things and you're like, oh yeah, like Stranger Things premiered. I gotta check it out. And with Obi-Wan coming and all this stuff, it's like, oh yeah, Stranger Things, I gotta check that out too. And you're always kind of like, you forget a little bit that it's really good, and then you go back and you dive in and you're like, okay, same thing. It's the kids. It's the 80s nostalgia vibes. This time we're doing a little bit of a Nightmare on Elm Street riff. I get it. That'll be cute. It'll be fun. And then like, you're just like, fuck, this is good. This is so good. And what the Duffer Brothers did, I did say, I texted a friend of mine and I'm like, man, Stranger Things is so good. And he's like, well, you do love nostalgia. And I was like, all right, calm down. But I think what the Duffer Brothers have managed to do is really impressive because absolutely Stranger Things at its core premise does lean into nostalgia. Yeah. The references to every 80s movie, 80s song, 80s genre, 80s fashion, like it's all there. But if it was just nostalgia, we would have gotten tired of this so long ago. But the way that they've managed to wrap nostalgia and the 80s and the vibe, and that they've nailed that feeling of the 80s, but they've given us these really compelling characters in a really compelling story that really feels like it's going somewhere, and that every single character gets their moment to shine over the course of these episodes. Like it's a very, very impressive balancing act, I think.
Shannon, overall thoughts on season 4, the first 7 episodes here?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's been 3 years since we've seen anything. So, when we started it, there was not the normal recap that you generally get with Netflix shows. Like, I don't know if like we just didn't get it or if it was by design. But it was like, oh shit, what happened?
It's there. I got it.
It was when we started it for season 4 episode 1. It didn't automatically come up.
Oh,
which in the past it has. So I don't know if it's just our Netflix or whatever. So there was a little like, wait, what's happening here? Okay, the Byers went to California. I kind of remember that. 11 went with them. So there was it. The first episode did not like it was really good, but it didn't hook me right away because I was playing catch up the whole time. Right. By the end of episode 2, it's like full speed ahead. Like this is such a good show, and what they do, I mean, besides introducing these compelling characters, they're really good at adding compelling characters as well. Like Eddie Munson, so fun to watch. That guy is really, really funny, but also plays the fear and plays the shock. The actor who's playing Argyle, that guy, that is. There is a very easy way to play that character overly broad and making it silly, but this guy is just the right amount. He is funny. He is just off being broad and totally believable. Like, even though I didn't go to high school in the 80s, I'm kind of like, I remember this guy, this stoner dude. It's just so much fun to watch. I mean, again, I would have liked to have had the recap just to have, be fully informed of everything that's going on. But you forget how charming these kids are. Like, again, it's just been so Finn Wolfhard and Millie Bobby Brown, I think, are the only ones that have made that transition to the big screen. But you forget how funny Gadden, is it Matarazzo?
Yeah, Glenn Matarazzo.
Oh my gosh, that kid is. He's just so funny. It's just like when I told my wife last night, like, we got 3 episodes to watch, and she was like, aren't these all like 2 hours? I'm like, no, hour 15. And so that was sort of our objective. Yeah, I found out. I actually thought it was. I thought it was 1:15.
You lied to your wife, sir. You lied to your wife.
I relayed incorrect information. To lie is to think it is active deception.
Intentionally, exactly.
So when the 3rd episode came up and I saw that 1:40, I'm like, let's see, she might fall asleep. She didn't fall asleep at all. Like she was dialed in the whole time. It was just so much fun. And then getting Vecna, getting such an interesting new villain, and discovering how Vecna ties in to everything, how everything ties into Eleven's backstory, knowing that we only have 2 episodes left to wrap up this season. And granted, they're both incredibly long run times. Being like, oh my gosh, this season 5, whatever that last season is going to be, seems like it's going to be epic.
Yeah, I like the gore of it. I like that, like I said, like Michael pointed out, the nostalgia. This is the best of 80s horror. It really is. And some people forget, 80s horror was really, some of it could be really good, really scary, unsettling, tense building. All of that is there. And the idea that Vecna essentially is there, Freddy Krueger, preying on the pain and the guilt of these hurt children, and using that and entrapping them in the tree so he can use them to grow his strength and build his connection to the other world. The idea of gates being opened again. The gates are never closed. They're always open. And and splitting them up so they have their separate storylines. It could have really killed the show, but it actually works because they spent a lot of time fleshing out each of the storylines with the characters. Do I think some storylines are stronger than others? Yes, absolutely. But I love that they keep revisiting and going back in time to a de-aged 11 and what she's remembering about that time from the opening 8 minutes of the show, of the first episode. By the way, I guessed what was happening, I think in the 6th episode with Jamie Campbell Boyer, and I was like, oh man, this is awesome. This is great, and so the way they made it come about was so perfect. And then, you're on the fence about whether Paul Reiser or Matthew Modine, whether either of those 2 characters, what their ulterior motives are. All of that keeps hanging above everything as 11 is trying to figure out how to recapture her powers. And then we see all the other kids like going on their separate adventures to try to help each other. And yeah, you're so right, Shannon. The way they bring in new characters and then bring back characters from last season to have them have critical moments and critical scenes in the show works so well. And the kids have such different personalities that work so well to kind of counter whatever the adults are doing. And I think Rob Morgan coming in as the sheriff is so great. I love Rob Morgan and his assistant there from Search Party. That guy, he's so funny in his approach to things as a bumbling deputy in essence. So all of it works so well. And I've enjoyed the writing here. I've enjoyed the illusions. I've enjoyed the horror and the terror of it all. And the time goes by so fast. I mean, like for me, I was really surprised by that because one of the reasons I didn't want to watch this season initially was because it was so daunting, those run times. But once you start, woo, it's like a speeding train. We literally tore through it in 2 days. Yeah.
And it's the opposite, like sometimes with the Marvel shows or with Obi-Wan or the Star Wars shows, it's like we get to, we usually bring it up. It's like, oh, well, this one was just 38 minutes. This one was 42 minutes. But, with those credits, I just feel like we're not getting, I wish we had more. And Netflix is like, here you go. You asked for it. Go for it. And even though like they're so long, you are right. Like, I'm like, just give me, like, just inject it into me. Like, it's so interesting. And I also think, with the whole Vecna of it all, Freddy Krueger and what Freddy Krueger is all about is so iconic that going up against Freddy Krueger, saying we're going to do our version of Freddy Krueger, we're going to do this thing where you kind of go into a dream realm-ish, you're kind of like, and this guy is going to like use your fears and twist them against you and do this stuff, and then bringing Robert Englund into the show as a character that sort of is tied to the Vecna of it all. Like the number of ways that you could fall short of Freddy Krueger are numerous. The number of ways that you could feel like a wannabe or an also-ran or you didn't do it as good. And the fact that they pulled it off, both in the execution of Vecna and then sort of surprising us at the end with tying Vecna into the story of 11 and what happened with her, I mean, they kind of just hit a home run. And particularly the whole song thing, which all of us are now like talking about what our Vecna song would be. Like we're like, oh, I hope my friends get me out of this one. They really knocked it out of the park.
Yeah. And who knew that Brett Gelman's character, Murray Bellman, knowing karate was going to be so freaking satisfying. That sequence on the plane where he actually is, my legs are spears, my arms are iron. So funny to find out that he's essentially Kramer from that episode of Seinfeld where he's fighting kids and that he beat the 16-year-old, but that 16-year-old, he beat the 16-year-old once.
Yeah.
The Yuri character, so much fun. The actor who played Jagan Hagar in Game of Thrones, who's the one Russian officer, and David Harbour having some incredible scenes. Like, I know we've mainly been talking about the kids, but the adults are doing just outstanding work. The whole Russian prison section is just so compelling in a way that I'm like, how, like, so wait a minute, that's right, he got transported to Russia. How is this gonna work? And everything has worked. Like talking about like the new characters or in like returning characters, I don't feel like, and I could be wrong, but I feel like there's never been a character that they've introduced and I'm like, I'm kind of done with this person. Wish they'd go away. All of these characters are just so interesting to watch. And even though it was more the husk, but we finally get to see what happened to Barb. And it was heartbreaking.
Yeah, so heartbreaking. And also, like the acting here, you mentioned, and I've seen some people complain about the Russian side of things. And I tell you this, I think it appeals to certain people. It appeals to certain people of age. Maybe it's a male-centric story, so that's why. Because I've seen mostly female critics bashing that section of this season, and maybe they don't relate, maybe they don't connect to it, but I do. I liked it, and I agree with you, Shannon. I liked that Russian side of things. And Harper's
what are the criticisms specifically?
Just saying that they should have killed him off in season 3. Why are we still hanging? They created a storyline just to keep him alive, and somehow they're able to break into this thing. And I'm just like, but it works. It works because it's about love. It's about their love, and that monologue that he delivers is so powerful. Look, Sadie Sink's monologue in Dear Billy episode 4 at the grave, Billy's grave, is incredible, and that whole sequence with, as you mentioned, the running up the hill sequence, all of that is the standout scene of the show. But that monologue and David Harbour's monologues are the two best acting moments of the entire season, for sure, in my opinion. And so I love that they both work because they're speaking about loving her brother, him loving Winona Ryder's character, and also we see the flashback of him losing his daughter and losing his wife, the pain of that with him. It's so well done. And Millie Bobby Brown is killing it yet again as 11, as they give her more as an older actress, more to do, more to mind, more emotional levels to play. She's incredible this season.
Yeah, the moment where she uses that skate to knock that girl in the face. I feel like that was the first case in the 80s of fuck around and find out.
Yeah.
I mean,
I thought it was a dream. And my girlfriend's like, it ain't a dream. And this is real. She really did it. I'm like, it can't be real. She wouldn't do that. I'm like, my God, that's insane. Yeah. Fuck around.
I think the two things that are the two things that are the key to the show's success. I mean, like everything we're saying is great and the performances are great and everything, but as much as this is all about, like, the upside down, and we're doing riffs on 80s stuff, and we're going to get a War Games reference here, and we're doing Freddy Krueger, and we're doing the haunted house, and we're like as much as this is just a love letter to the 80s, every single emotional storyline with every single kid and adult is so clear and so strong.
Yeah.
Like that we have got the 11 and Mike love story where she's like, you don't say you love me. We've got, Dustin and Steve and Eddie, and this sort of like, oh yeah, he's actually a good kid, whatever. You got the Lucas and Max storyline. You got the Max storyline with her brother. You've got the David Harbour romance with Joyce. You've got even like the Robin and Nancy subplot where like they kind of come to an understand, like every single character in this movie, in this series has a specific point of view, a specific reason for being there to move the plot forward, and a specific emotional story or emotional dynamic to play with somebody else. So that's the one thing that I think they never have strayed from that formula. And so many times when you have this number of characters, things do just fall apart. Characters, as people are saying with the Jurassic Park reviews, like characters just do things or know things because, and you're like, whatever. The other thing that this does, which makes it feel inherently 80s, is this is like a truth of like every Amblin movie. This is what made every Amblin movie work. It's what makes Goonies work. It's what made Stephen King's It work, is this idea that kids are smarter than adults and that kid logic will save you in a way that adult logic doesn't. Right. So kid logic is if you listen to your favorite song, you'll escape. Kid logic is we are going to understand this all in Dungeons and Dragons terms. Or Eddie is going to be like, I don't want to go do this, but I guess we're taking the ring to Mordor. Like, there is this inherent idea that kids understand the universe in a way that adults never will. And it's what allows them to do amazing things in a way that adults don't. And Stranger Things has always done that. And I think that has worked for them all the way through.
I might push back a little bit and say that it's different as you become an adult. And I think that's what Eleven's story is here. For her, it's not the song. For her, it's her memory, her favorite memory, the moment of joy, which is seeing her mom as she comes out of the womb as a baby. That's what gives her the power. And that as an adult is what you connect to, is a favorite memory. That's what keeps you connected. That's what keeps you going. That's what motivates you. That's what drives you. Whereas the kid, of course, you're not there yet emotionally. Almost all kids are not there yet emotionally or mature wise. So the song is what kind of subs in for that. And later in life, it's your children or your wife or your husband or your family or whatever that drives you to do the right thing or to find the power within you to do the right thing. And I think that's what's maybe a little bit of a twist on that, Mike. But you make excellent points. I'm just saying maybe a little bit that's a little subtext going on for when 11 finally finds her strength to take out Jamie Campbell Bower. Shannon, any more thoughts on the? And Steve, Joe Carey. My God, he is so good this season, and I love the thing with him and Nancy. I love that it's coming back. It's like what's Nicholas Coster-Waldau from fucking Game of Thrones. They've turned him around so much that you love Steve. Even when he gets thrown in with the kids, he's like babysitter again.
Oh, he's great. He is so natural. Like, they're all so natural. Like, they've really lucked out with their casting on this. And that these kids that they cast years ago as just little kids, as they are all going through puberty and voices are changing and they're all coming adults, they are still going strong. They are all delivering in a major way.
Yeah, they are all in that supremely awkward age where they're getting super tall, but their bodies haven't caught up yet, but they're still turning in really great work. The moment that they're out on the lake and Lucas holds up those binoculars like, when did Steve get so hairy? That moment is so funny. And honestly, like Lucas's, I think, especially at the beginning when he was with the basketball team, I thought he was just doing such great work because we all had that friend in middle school, in high school, where it's like, we're starting to grow apart. You're hanging out with different people. Like, and you can see just, he's so conflicted in that moment where they're at Dustin's and he goes and decides to warn. Oh my gosh. It was just just flashes from the past.
Yeah, and I can't remember the guy's name, the kid who plays the main kind of yuppie jock or whatever. That guy, that moment that he has at the council meeting, don't tell me you weren't thinking of 2022 in that moment when he's
100%.
Right, to manipulate people. They're making a commentary here that he's manipulating people into believing this nonsense and believing this idea that it's satanic possession. He's not necessarily off, but he's not right. So
I believe they call it folie à deux.
Yes, and they bring. We should just title this episode. And they bring. He kind of motivates people to go out the door and go after these kids. It's just chilling. It's chilling when you see that happening at a young age like that. So much here to really enjoy. One last thing, because I know we got to wrap up. Do we like the Vecna story, the way they've done it? Does it work? Are there any holes here, as you two who write and showrun? Are there any holes here in the creation of this story and the way they brought it back to in episode 7 to reveal who Vecna actually is and how this all came about?
Not for me. Like, there was a moment where with the orderly, I'm like, wait, is he Vecna? And then I started doing the math in my head. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. I'm like, well, wait a minute. If it was 1957 and the flashback, that's 1983. Ooh, maybe. Then I looked up the actual actor's birthday. I'm like, oh, you're 10 years younger. Oh yeah, that works. Holy crap, it's him.
Yeah, exactly.
The tying like that, there's this haunted story about this guy whose family died, and that guy, and then you're like, okay, well, that is Vecna, but like, and they even say it like, well, but how did Vecna have victims this early and it doesn't make sense, and this whole thing, and when it all kind of clicks, where that boy is number one, and number one grew up and then became this orderly, and then number 1 went against 11, and 11 pushed him away into the Upside Down, and this is the beginning of this whole, like, it actually, I mean, I'm really curious to where the end of season 4 is going to go, because we haven't seen the end yet. We have 2 more episodes, and one of them is basically a movie. And then we have season 5, which is the final season. But I think at this point, given how eloquently they've sort of wrapped all that stuff together so far in this season, not only do I think that we're in for a very thrilling finale to season 4, but I think season 5, they are going to stick this landing so hard. We are not going to be in a Game of Thrones situation. Like, we are going to be like Stranger Things is one of the all-time greats. That's my prediction.
Yeah, there might be a 000 somewhere, a 000 who may come in season 5. We'll see about that. And I love the fact that 11 is the counter to 1, the 1 and 1 being the balance, 11 being the balance to the ones. It's so great stuff for sure. All right, let's wrap it up there because we all got to go. Shannon, what do we have to tell them?
Yeah, if you'd like to follow us on social media, on Twitter, it's at geek_buddies, on Instagram at _geek_buddies. If you'd like to follow me on social media, on Twitter, it's at Shannon _McClung, on Instagram at Shannon the Geek Buddy. If you would like to follow Mr. Vogel, it is at MKToon. If you would like to follow Mr. Rocha, it is at The Rocha Says.
Mikey?
If you enjoyed this conversation and want to hear more exciting things like Shannon hum incorrect songs, John talk about how much he hates the Jurassic Park fans, or let me list all of my favorite Vecna songs that I would listen to survive, here is what you can do for us. Hit that like button below, subscribe to Johnny's Outlaw Nation page where you can see all the amazing content that he is posting. Leave your comments below. What did you think of these trailers? What do you think of this Joker movie? What do you think of Jurassic Park Dominion? And most importantly, what do you think of Stranger Things Season 4? Let us know. If you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or anywhere podcasts are available, leave us some stars, leave us some comments so that we go up in the rankings. And as always, the best thing that you guys can do is retweet this video, post it to your socials, send it to your friends, tell them to hang out with your buddies, the Geek Buddies.
There you go. And big shout out to Carbon Health, who powers and sponsors us here on the Geek Buddy. Thank you so much to Carbon Health. Go to carbonhealth.com and see if they've got a clinic or a facility near you or offering virtual care for whatever your healthcare needs are. They absolutely are there to serve you and help you get better. They believe in creating healthcare plans for you specifically. Go there to carbonhealth.com or download the app. Have a doc in your pocket for any healthcare situations that pop up while you're out and about in the world, and get some COVID testing packs that they're selling now for people to pick up as well. All right. Thank you all so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you next time with another brand new episode here of the
Geek
Folly Adu!